My name is Makisha Hooper. I'm the Coordinated Community Response Manager at the Texas Council on Family Violence. TCFV exists to support the family violence service providers around the state with training and technical assistance on best practice to uplift prevention strategies to end domestic violence and to work on policy initiatives that can support survivors and their families. For the last 15 years, we've released a report called Honoring Texas Victims, where we provide a case narrative of the victims who were killed by their intimate partner, some background information on what they were experiencing, who they were, and where those homicides occurred. We release this report every year in October during Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we want to pause and acknowledge the impact that domestic violence has on our state, and we also want to uplift some strategies and some responses that can help keep survivors safe. For our report Honoring Texas Victims, we look for victims who were killed by their intimate partner, and where the police determined that it was either a murder-suicide or where charges of murder or manslaughter were brought against the intimate partner suspect. We know that domestic violence has a much broader impact than only the numbers that we report, but for us it's really important to be able to tell the story of what's happening in Texas on a year-to-year basis. We're looking for known high-risk factors that may have come to the attention of law enforcement, where the victim may have been navigating, either seeking a protective order, seeking a civil remedy like divorce or custody or child support, or just going through a criminal legal case. So there are opportunities within any interaction that a survivor has with a court system to assess what some of the high-risk factors are in their case and respond either with conditions of bond or orders of protection that further increase our safety. And the enforcement and follow-up of those is really critical, because sometimes we know that anytime a survivor accesses help or decides to leave a relationship, that period of time is one of the most dangerous times that they're going to experience. In 2022, TCFV documented 216 intimate partner fatalities in the state. That includes 179 women and 37 men, and among those were 6 men and women killed by their same-sex partners. This is the second highest number that we've reported. It follows the really high numbers we saw in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. Over the last 10 years, we've seen an increase in the number of intimate partner homicides. We've seen that the number of women killed by a perpetrator with a firearm has nearly doubled. In 2022, the youngest victim was 13 years old, and the oldest victim was 89. The majority of victims are in their 20s and 30s, but we have to really be responsive, understand that domestic violence can look different for teens and the elderly, and be able to adapt. Thousands of Texans are able to access help each year and are able to rebuild their lives in safe and meaningful ways because of the work that domestic violence advocates are doing around the state. We also recognize it's incredibly important to focus on prevention and healthy relationship education with young people. Many of the family violence service providers are engaging youth in their communities and developing youth advisory boards to build those prevention initiatives in schools. And a number of the systems partners, when they come together and work with advocates, that's something they really want to focus on. One of the big issues in the state is that the people who are prohibited from possessing firearms because of their domestic violence convictions, there aren't protocols in place to have them transfer those firearms away and not possess them. In our state statute, there's a real gap in guidance around what to do when someone is prohibited from possessing a firearm, when that prohibition comes into effect. We've seen the number of firearm-related fatalities nearly double in the last 10 years, and we think it's one of the biggest drivers of the increase in intimate partner homicide. The presence of a firearm increases the likelihood that someone will be killed by 11 times. We are here to support local community leaders in problem solving around this issue and working collaboratively to come up with solutions that work in their communities, because there's not a lot of guidance around what to do coming from the state level yet. There are domestic violence services and advocates across the state that are available 24 hours a day to support people experiencing domestic violence. One of the best ways to get immediate and anonymous help and confidential help is to call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-SAFE, or to go to their website and chat with an advocate at thehotline.org. TCFV publishes a directory of domestic violence shelters across the state as well that provide 24-hour access. And that's available on our website at tcfv.org. It's also important to know that Texas has really strong standards around services for people who are abusing their partners, and those services are called battering intervention and prevention programs. They are accredited by the Texas Department of Criminal Justice and the Community Justice Assistance Division, and they are available for court referrals to help people who are abusing their partners to learn healthy relationship and nonviolent behaviors. And this is a really important prevention initiative because it's an intervention with the person who is causing harm, and it's prevention for future generations to direct those folks to the appropriate services. And Texas has a strong history of providing guidance as far as guidelines and funding to those programs that many other states don't have. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, you can even access some of those services virtually if there's not a service provider in your community. So again, those resources are available in our service directory on our website, and they're also available through TDCJ, the Community Justice Assistance Division.